We are not here to attack belief, and we are definitely not here to judge people who have faith. That's not what this is about. What we are doing here is something much simpler and much harder at the same time. We are asking questions, the kind of questions people usually avoid. And maybe the biggest one of all, what if God isn't real? Not as an idea, not as a feeling, but as something that actually exists. Because that's the real question, isn't it? Not whether belief feels meaningful, but whether it's true. And if we're being honest, really honest, there's a problem. There is no solid, testable, verifiable evidence that a God exists. Not in science, not in history, not anywhere we can actually check. And that's where this conversation begins. What do we actually mean by existence? Before we go any further, we need to be clear about something. When we talk about God existing, we are not talking about feelings or personal experiences or a sense of meaning. We are talking about something real, something objective, something that exists, whether we believe in it or not, something that can be observed, measured, tested, or at the very least leave evidence behind. That's how reality works. That's how science works. If something exists, it interacts with the world. And if it interacts with the world, we should be able to detect it. But when it comes to God, that's where things get complicated. Because what people often describe of peace, connection, presence, those are real experiences, but they are internal, they are physiological. And a feelings, no matter how powerful, is not the same thing as an external reality. What does science say? Let's go straight to the strongest tool we have for the understanding reality: science. So far, science has not produced a single confirmed observation, experiment, or discovery that proves the existence of a supernatural being. No hidden force, no conscious creator, not external intelligence designing reality. From physics to biology to cosmology, we are built models that explain how the universe works without needing God. Gravity explains motion. Evolution explains life. Neuroscience explains consciousness. And none of these require a divine intervention. Now, science doesn't claim to know everything, but it does follow one simple rule. If you make a claim, you need evidence. And the bigger the claim, the stronger evidence need to be. But when it comes to God, there is nothing. No measurable signal, no repeatable event, no testable phenomenon. And that absence matters. Is belief in God rational? This isn't a new question. Philosophers have been asking it for centuries. Is it reasonable to believe in something that cannot be proven? Thinkers like David Hume and Bernard Russell argued something very straightforward. If a claim is extraordinary, it requires extraordinary evidence. And if that evidence doesn't exist, we have no rational reason to accept the claim. Hume went even further. He argued that we have never seen the laws of nature broken. So when someone claims a miracle, we should be skeptical. Because what's more likely? That the law of reality suddenly stopped working, or that the story is simply wrong? And when it comes to God, we're dealing with the biggest claim possible, yet the evidence is missing. Where did these beliefs come from? If we look at human history, we start to see a pattern. Before science, the world was full of mysteries: thunder, earthquakes, disease, death, and humans needed explanations. So we created them. We told stories. We imagined force behind the chaos. God of sky, God of earth, God of life and death. Over time, these stories evolved. They became traditions, then beliefs, then religions. But just because a story survives doesn't make it true. It just means it was repeated enough. The uncomfortable part: power. There's another side of this, a more uncomfortable one. Throughout history, the idea of God hasn't just been a belief, it's been a tool of control. In many societies, religion shaped laws, defined morality, and controlled behavior. People were told what to think, what to say, what to believe, not through evidence, but through fear: fear of punishment, fear of judgment, fear of something unseen. And this raises a serious question. Are we dealing with truth, or with a system designed to maintain order? Why do people still believe? This is where things get human, because belief isn't just about logic, it's about emotion. We want meaning, we want purpose, we want to feel safe. And the idea of God offers all of that. It tells us we are not alone, that someone is in control, that everything happens for a reason, and that's powerful. But just because something feels comforting doesn't make it real. We can find meaning in many other ways: through relationship, through knowledge, through creativity, through living, without needing to assume something that cannot be proven. Meaning is not the same as truth. This is one of the biggest confusions people make. They take something meaningful and assume it must be true. But those are two completely different things. You can feel something deeply and still be wrong about it. Reality doesn't depend on belief. It exists whether we accept it or not. And until there is actual evidence, real, testable, verifiable evidence, there is no logical reason to believe that God exists. Final truth: when we look at everything together, the lack of scientific evidence, the role of myth and history, the contradictions between beliefs, the physiological need for meaning, and the explanations science already proves, we are left with a simple conclusion. There is no solid reason to believe that God exists. And saying that is not about denying human experience. It's about separating what we feel from what is real. If we made it this far together, it means we are willing to ask difficult questions. We are not here to attack anyone. We are not here to label beliefs. We are here to think, to question, and to look at things differently. And this is just beginning, because in the next videos we are going deeper into history, into philosophy, science, and the physiology of belief. Whether we agree, disagree, or still feel unsure, what matters is we keep thinking. And don't forget, nothing is more sacred than asking questions